Welcome to Live Free with Caleb D. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have a very, very special guest today. She's an expert budget traveler. Say hi, Mellisa.
Hi, everyone.
So today's video, we're going to dive deep on how to travel on a budget because financial freedom doesn't have to be boring. Financial freedom, you can have fun, you can live your life. And then Melissa's going to explain to you how she does that through budget-friendly traveling. So stay tuned. All right. So, Melissa, you are an expert budget traveler, correct?
I don't know if I would say expert, but yes.
Okay. It was funny because a couple years ago, like I saw on your Instagram, you're always traveling to a different place. And it wasn't like you're going to like a different state. You were going to actual countries. I'm like, how are you affording all this stuff? And then I think I asked you this. I was like, who's your sugar daddy? Because there's no way. Like you claim you're broke, you say you're not working, but every other week you're going to Cuba or you're going to Mali or whatever. So I honestly thought you had a sugar daddy. But then you told me that.
One.
What is that?
You're not the only one.
Yeah. So then I finally asked you, like, how are you affording all these things? And you said that you just gotta know how to do it. And so that's what this video is about. And then you're gonna dive deep on how you do it, pretty much. So before I ask you questions regarding to how you travel budget friendly, so what sparked your interest and your passion for travel? Like, when did it start?
So I don't know, you remember some of our friends from college.
Yep.
We all wanted to take a trip to volunteer somewhere, and we had all graduated college already. It was like after college, and we were just like in our jobs trying to figure out what to do next with life. So we were like, let's go volunteer abroad somewhere. And both of them had were in schools, like working in school. So they only had school break off. So I was already constricted because I could only go when they could go, which was during a school break, which was 1 week. And then, then they didn't want to go too far because they didn't want to spend that money to go too far or whatever. So more restrictions. And eventually, I picked a place and it was going to be like Mexico for 1 week to volunteer because that was the cheapest flight and all that. And then they canceled. So I already had it set in my heart that I really wanted to volunteer abroad somewhere. And I had already taken that time off. But now that I didn't have any restrictions, I was working in a hospital, so my schedule was a little more open than theirs was. I decided to go for 2 weeks and go all the way across the world to India, and I went by myself.
Wow, by yourself. That's crazy.
By myself, yeah. And then that was when I learned, like, I was scared to go, but when I got there, I met so many people while I was there, and then the culture was just amazing to see. And then, like, I left, like, the group that I was with. When I went there were people there when I already got there, or they were already there. But then at one point, we had kind of like gone our separate ways, and I traveled throughout, like, the city, Delhi, by myself. And I was like, I can do this, like, fine, without anyone else. And so that was really sparked me traveling solo, which also can be cheaper sometimes than traveling with friends. So that was where it started. And then after just realizing that I can be independent and I can do this, and I really enjoy seeing different cultures, then I just couldn't be stopped.
Wow, that's crazy. That's real awesome. So in terms of like it being cheap, when did you realize you could do it, start doing this consistently? Because like it's one thing to, travel to another place and then love it. I know for me, it's like me going to Jamaica for my honeymoon. Like I was like, wow, I got to do this again, But and we're supposed to go to St. Lucia in October, but because my wife's pregnant and because of COVID, it's like, damn kids.
Yeah.
But like I agree with you. Like I definitely want to continue traveling. But all right, so when did you realize that you could start traveling on the cheap consistently and regularly? Because I think that's something that a lot of people really think that, oh, I need to drop $5,000 just to go on a good vacation. So like, how much do you usually pay per trip? and how do you consistently find those good deals?
I would say it took me a little while because in the beginning, I definitely just wanted to get out. Like when I first realized I like to travel, and anywhere someone would go with me, I would go. Then Airbnb, like in the beginning, I was definitely afraid to like stay in Airbnbs because they weren't as popular at the time, and I didn't know if I would be safe. But now that has saved me a lot of money just staying in Airbnbs instead of hotels. Private room Airbnbs instead of like having your own whole apartment. Like
Oh
I don't
wow.
mind. Yeah, I've stayed in like in Portugal and in Madrid, Egypt. Like I've stayed in rooms that like the host is still there,
Okay.
and it could be some people may find it weird, but like that's like being in a hostel, but like having your own room, and the host can be really helpful with finding if you needed directions to go somewhere or where's the best place to eat or what time you should go to this place, that place. The host is like always super helpful. Um, and finding like Airbnbs that are in the city instead of like in the outskirts. So I always take the train when I'm there, or walk or like get a bike or a
Really?
scooter, one of
Huh.
those things.
Okay.
Yeah. So I save a lot of money, like not using taxis and just like staying close to the city in an Airbnb. Um, Flights, this one took me a while too, which is how Woneway became created. But um, in the beginning, I was just like, if you go on Google Flights and you just put Boston and kind of just like click maps, it shows you all the destinations you can go to and the price for like that weekend that you were looking. So I used to work every other weekend, only worked 4 shifts a week. So if I planned it out right, I could have like 6 days off without taking any vacation time.
Yeah.
Um, so I knew like when I would have that, they would give the schedule out beforehand. So if in April I was gonna have those 6 days off, I would just click Boston to everywhere. Like you don't have to put a specific destination, and whatever flight was like cheap during that time, that's where I was gonna go. Like I didn't
Oh,
always have,
okay. All right.
yeah, I didn't always have a destination in mind. It was like the price is what inspired me to go to that destination.
Honestly, that is a great way of looking at it because a lot of people they want to plan everything. They want to, they want to have, whatever. They're very meticulous about, their travel.
Mhm.
And I think being more flexible, I think I can see how that can definitely be an asset. My question to you is, like, isn't that a little nerve wracking or like not staying in a hotel? Because like, especially countries, let's say Egypt. I know a couple years ago, there was like this big thing going on in Egypt. I don't know, I forget the details, but like places like that where it's like living in the city is, being in the city isn't really safe. Like, how did you stay safe and what kind of precautions you took in order to keep yourself, especially if you're going by yourself and being a woman, you're traveling, that must be nerve wracking for you.
Hmm. I get that a lot too. I feel like that's probably the biggest reason people don't want to travel by themselves is because of safety. And it makes sense. But in all of my experiences traveling, I've never run into a situation that I didn't get myself into, I guess you could say. Like I've never felt so afraid of something or scared that someone was gonna like kidnap me or anything like that, based on where I was. I mean, I feel like if you don't act lost, then people don't bother you. Um, and it's like knowing who to ask for directions or something like that. Like if you ask someone who owns like a store, like a storefront, and you went in there and asked like, "Oh, how do you get here?" I have always realized that that's like safer than asking someone on the street because someone on the street could like steer you the wrong way or follow
Yeah.
you or whatever the case may be. So just like you kind of build this intuition like who to kind of trust when you're traveling. And I mean, I'm always in a public place. Like I told you, I take the train, so there's hundreds of people on the train with me. Most of the stuff that I do is during the daytime. I have gone out at night before, but like it would be in a country or a city that I felt was more safe. Like I didn't go out at night in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
just because like there's a lot more men than there are women who are outside at night, especially. So I didn't feel like that was the country I should be going out by myself, but like I've gone out
Yeah.
to the club in Madrid by myself and like walked back to my Airbnb at like 2 o'clock in the morning in
Oh
Paris,
wow.
you know. So, but I feel like I always just look like I know where I'm going, and so people don't bother me. Like I just look like I'm one of the
Yeah.
locals. Like, you wouldn't know because I'm not like looking at Google Maps on my phone. I'll walk during the daytime wherever I need to go, and so if I come back at home like at night, I know how to get there because I've already done this during the daytime.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But in terms of like souvenirs and kind of like excursions, are you finding deals in those things too, or because you're saving money on your flights, which you explain a little bit later, and also saving money on the hotels, it allows you to spend more money on those things, or are you finding kind of like little deals for the excursions and souvenirs as
Um,
well?
yes, I mean, generally, I can, since I save so much in one place, I can kind of spend it somewhere else. But I don't buy as many souvenirs anymore because I travel a lot. So
Yeah,
I don't buy as many souvenirs for other people because, you know, sometimes it just ends up being like something placed on the kitchen counter and you never look at it again.
yeah.
So I don't know if you can see back here.
Oh
This is
yeah, I
like my
see.
travel wall kind of.
Okay.
And so I try to pick up at least one thing from every country that I've been to. But it's usually something small, like not super expensive.
Okay.
And then maybe a gift or two for my mom. But and excursions, um, well, I save on that too because I try to do it myself. A lot of with excursions, like it's like transportation and food that's included, and it makes
Ah,
everything easier for you if you just book it all at once. So like if I found my own transportation there, which could be the train, if I just like got a sandwich at the market while outside of wherever I was planning on going, then I can save money there too. So trying to do things as much as I can on my own, and then like something that's like hours and hours away that I just couldn't be able to book a taxi or whatever on my own, then I would book through like TripAdvisor, and those are probably the three that I've used most often. And then if like anyone on Instagram, I have a lot of friends who travel a lot, and they can make a lot of suggestions of what companies I should use or how I can get there on my own. Instagram can be very useful.
mm,
That can be a tip too. People give a lot of information on Instagram. You just have to look for it, like, or follow travel pages and just
hmm.
see how people got to where they went. You can do it too.
Okay, that's very interesting. 'Cause I was not thinking about it when I was in Jamaica. The reason why the excursion cost so much is because they did provide you transportation,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there was like a food voucher. And mind you, the food wasn't even that great. I was so disappointed when we went to I think it was like Magic Mountain in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
and then they said they got this food voucher, and then it was just like a regular plate, that was like wasn't made with love. Like, I was like
Mm-hmm.
so I was like
You're
so
also getting ripped off because like it's touristy. So if you went
yeah.
somewhere like in the city or whatever, like someone's little mom pop shop around the corner, the food would have probably been better and cheaper.
True. But
So,
I guess the safety is so maybe I guess there's a stigma around the
mm,
safety in other countries. Maybe as Americans we're just so complacent and we're kind of like I wouldn't say arrogant, but like we don't think too highly of other countries that's on our own. And if we really think about it, it's like what's the difference between walking in Jamaica,
mm-hmm.
downtown Jamaica versus downtown Boston, like you're going to like Mattapan or Roxbury, like if we're being real with each other.
Right. I don't think it's that big of a difference. And honestly, you're going there, you're spending your money going to this little restaurant around the corner. Like you're trying to support as well. So I feel like, and also, I mean, I don't walk around with $1,000 in my pocket.
Yeah.
The most I have is like my room key and my credit card. And I haven't used cash as much anymore because
Mm-hmm.
I have got my wallet stolen before. I will say that, but I didn't have that much in my wallet. So,
Okay.
and then like my credit card, I could just easily cancel. And then I'll bring my debit card with me as well. So the debit card had stayed in my room and I was still able to take money out if I needed to. But,
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. So yeah, so what I'm getting from this is it's not like there's a lot of planning and execution that has to go to being able to do these things on the regular and cheaply too. Is that correct?
yes, I do a lot of planning beforehand.
Okay. So how long does it for each trip? How long does it take you? So how long? So let me ask you a couple questions at once.
Hmm.
How long does it take you to plan each of these trips? And also, what is the most you spent on a trip? And actually, what's a more better? Excuse me. A better question would be how. What's the average amount you spend per trip, and how often per year are you traveling? Putting COVID aside.
These are these are hard questions.
Yeah.
Um, so how long does it take? I mean, because I'm a student, it's a little harder for me because I spread it out over like a period of time because I have a paper to write or something like that. So like I
Yeah.
can't just come home from work and just start planning the trip. But I would say a few weeks. Like if I didn't have school, then I could probably do it in like a week after work hours or whatever. Just come home
Yeah.
and like do research. Um, but it takes a while because you want to get the best for your money. Like, and I'm trying to spend an arm and a leg, so I'm gonna research like how I can do this as cheap as possible, like different
Yeah.
companies or different flights or whatever, or like different routes that I can take that would be cheaper. Um, so it takes a while, which is why when people ask for me to plan like a trip for them, it's like, I don't know if I can do that because it takes a long time.
Mm.
Now, how much I spend, that's hard because I never really calculate because I know that I'm doing everything on a like an imaginary budget in my head. Like
Mm.
when I see a price, I'm like, no, I would never pay for that. So like I haven't added up like how much I spent
Okay.
on a trip because I know that like there was no way that I probably could have spent any more or any less on that trip. I guess
Okay.
any less could have spent more, but I couldn't have spent any more. But let's see. I'll say I went to like Southeast Asia for
Mm.
3 weeks, and my flight was round trip $450
What? For eight? Wow. Wow.
from here all the way to Malaysia, like, and then return. No, not from here. I took a bus from Boston to New York, and then New York to Malaysia, and then returning Thailand to New York, bus back to Boston, with $450 round trip for the plane, and then probably the bus was like another $25 round trip.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then places to stay. I mean, I think in Malaysia I spent $20 a night in a room. In Bali,
Whoa.
I spent $50 a night in a room. Uh, Cambodia was also like $20. Like, yeah, those were all Airbnbs that I stayed in. Beautiful. Like in Malaysia, I was on like the 80th floor for $20 a night. Like,
Wow.
so you can find them. It's just the level of like what you're comfortable with. Like, yeah, I was
Okay.
sharing a room, but I had an amazing view, and the other person wasn't like not sharing a room, sharing an apartment. The other person was like barely even there. Like, I'm just staying in the Airbnb to sleep,
Yeah.
basically. Like, so it really doesn't matter to me like whether I'm sharing a bathroom with someone or if it's not luxurious, because I'm just there to see what's outside, not what's
Mm.
inside of like my room.
Yeah. Just to put it this way, if you are not looking for the resort experience,
Hmm.
then your way of traveling should be the standard for everybody, essentially. Just
Yeah.
okay. That's
I
that's a
mean,
good way to put
there's
it.
time you want to relax and stay in an all-inclusive hotel, but you're gonna pay
Yeah.
a
Yeah. You
lot,
are.
like
Yeah.
3 times more than I am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So you mentioned Woneway. So I think I've talked to you about this before. So now I want you to explain it to everyone else. So you co-founded Woneway. So
Mhm.
kind of walk me through, how did the idea come up? How did you execute? And what is the purpose of Woneway?
So, our college friend, Yaovi,
Yep.
he was a computer engineer, I think.
Yeah, he
And
was. Yeah, computer
yeah,
engineer.
so he fixed my laptop a few times. And one time I had given him my laptop and he was like asking me, when am I going to come back and get it? And I'm like, oh, probably not for like a month, because that was when I was planning on traveling to Europe for a month. And he's like, what? Like a whole month? And then when I came back, he was like, oh, how much did you spend on like all those flights? And it was like maybe $1,200 that I spent to go to 10 different cities
Really?
in Europe. Yeah, in Europe and Northern
Wow.
Africa. So he was like, how did you do that? Like, I don't understand. Like, I spent $200 on one ticket to go to one place.
Yeah.
And so I explained to him like my method of using Google Maps. And so I had, for that trip, like I put in Boston and then like just opened the map up to Europe. And the
Yeah.
first place that was like the cheapest, that came out the cheapest, was Iceland. And then I worked my way from Iceland, like what was going to be cheaper to fly from Iceland to next. And it was like Europe, London,
Oh,
yeah.
I
And then
get it.
from
Okay, that's
there it
smart.
was
That's smart.
Morocco. Yeah, so once you're already in that general region, it's usually cheaper to book another flight somewhere else close, rather than like booking two different trips and coming back home, then going all the way that direction again. Like I could just
Yeah.
take an extended trip and book a bunch of flights that are like less than an hour in duration and go somewhere else for like super cheap. Like I think I paid $20 to go from London to Morocco.
What? $20?
So yeah,
Wow.
it's essentially a bunch of one-way flights that
Nah.
exactly you see the name. So
Yeah.
that's why. And then that's how that came about. Like I explained that to him, and then he was like, I wonder if we could make a platform for this. And
Yeah.
so we came up with Woneway, which is a multi-destination trip planning platform where you don't have to know where you want to go. You just need to know where you're leaving from and how long you want to go for and like your budget. And then the system will generate like 3 trips for you based like on your budget, places you should go for the duration that you set.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So is there any back end work to it, or is it auto generates it for you? So like, is there someone, you or Yavi, behind the screens, like they want this trip, so you guys are like doing your research, or does it just auto generated?
Mm-hmm. So we're working on that. When we first launched, it was going to be mostly me because Yavi is real technical, but like I was doing like the real travel side.
Yeah.
And so I was supposed to be booking the trips like for people, like finding the best flights and doing the routes and all that, because I had gotten pretty good at it from doing it for myself. Then COVID happened. So, we took a pause, and we still have not like opened the website back up to do new trips, because a lot of countries are still closed to the US. And then there's more restrictions with getting COVID testing now. So we just don't think it's the right time to plan trips for people, especially like multi-destination trips, because we don't know what the rules are.
You're just spreading COVID.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Don't want to be the cause of it. So we've actually been working on like trying to get a system that would be automated.
Yeah.
And so that we wouldn't have to be like, oh, we just want to go, we want to go here, I want to go there. So yeah, we're working on that, working on the website, working on an app, and then hopefully sometime soon we'll get it out there. An updated version, and COVID will be gone.
Yeah,
or
hopefully,
at least calm down a little bit, and then we can start back up and start traveling again.
Yeah. So you said the website's not up?
We have a website, but you currently can't book anything.
Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure that people can find you. They can find your platform. So everyone watching this, Woneway, it's spelled WONEWAY.com, right?
Yes.
All right. And then you have an Instagram too, right?
Yes.
All right, I'll put everything in the description. So if you guys are watching this, everything in the description. Please check them out and keep them in mind. I know COVID's raging right now, but
Mhm.
yeah, this is a beautiful platform, especially if you're young and single. You have no obligations. This is probably your dream come true, especially like if you're trying to pay down debt and you're still trying to enjoy life. These are some of the things that you can do in order to further your financial freedom without having to be a hermit. Like again, I know those financial gurus. You like, you gotta work hard. You can, no fun until you're 40, just to enjoy, just to have some financial freedom. But it doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
Find ways to lower your costs so you can actually do these things and put it in your budget. There's nothing wrong with budgeting for trips, but don't be those people putting everything on a credit card anytime you want to go somewhere. No,
Mhm.
following these tips that Mellisa kindly presented to us is the way to do it. And if you have any questions, please just contact her. Hit her up on her Instagram. So you want people to hit you up on your personal Instagram or your Woneway Instagram?
You can hit me up on mine if it's about like my travels. If it's about one way, then one way.
Okay, all right. So before we go, before I don't want to make this video too long. So what is your favorite destination? What was your favorite destination, I should say?
I get that question also a lot. Everyone wants to know what's the best place you've been. And it's hard to say because everywhere I have learned something about myself or have done something that like people have never and will never do it like in a lifetime.
Wow.
So I would say I enjoyed let's see, it's so hard. Because everywhere has like a different vibe. Like if I was to pick like most relaxing vacation-ish vibes, even though I didn't go on vacation, I would pick Bali. Like
I heard good things about Bali. I really did.
Bali is beautiful. The food is amazing. Like it's so relaxing, peaceful. Like even actually it has its other side too. Like if you wanted to turn up, you could turn up in Bali too. But also if you wanted to relax and get a massage with a flower bath or something like that, you can do that. Or have an
Yeah.
infinity pool in the middle of the jungle, like that's Bali. But if you want like adventure, I loved Peru because I climbed Machu Picchu, which is one of the seven wonders of the world, and I like climbed the other mountain that looks down on it, and I was amazed. I climbed so many mountains. I'm not a hiker, but I did a lot of hiking in Peru, and I saw a lot of beautiful things, like a lot of views from the top. And the food was also amazing there too. And then if you want like just like somewhere that's like picturesque, like just beautiful, Turkey would be like my
Turkey.
favorite.
Okay.
I know. I feel like people probably sleep on Turkey, but it has so much beauty, like
Yeah.
so different types of landscapes, like not just like one city, but if you I went to different parts of the country
Yeah.
and everywhere looks different. And I loved it.
Okay. All right. All
I gave
right.
you, I gave you three. I couldn't settle on one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm just thankful for your time. I know you got homework to do, so I don't want to keep you too long. This was very valuable information. And those who are watching, if you have any more questions, please don't be shy. Like by you engaging her, it helps her brand, it helps her grow her business. And so if you guys looking to travel, especially for 2021, once hopefully COVID dies down, Mellisa is your go-to person for budget-friendly travel. So without further ado, thank you once again, and holla at your boy.